It's not that I have anything against small men as such. My ex-husband Richard is quite short, exactly the same height as me, when I don't have heels on. I'm 5'6.5", although Richard always gave his height as 5'8". It's just that if you're going to put a profile on a dating website, it makes sense to be honest about your height. I mean, it's not something you can get away with lying about. What if I'd been 6 feet tall? It would have been even more ridiculous. I suppose that Gerald did say that he was looking for a petite woman, so I could have guessed he was never going to be a basketball player. Or perhaps he felt that I'd misled him by being taller than he had specified. Still, 5'10". I don't think so. In the event, it wasn't so much Gerald's height, or lack of it, or his appearance. It was more his general demeanour. A face like a slapped arse, as my ex-mother-in-law used to say. I felt sorry for him. No wonder he couldn't get a girlfriend. As I waited in Pizza Express 10 minutes before the appointed time, I felt the same thrill of anticipation that had become so addictive over the past few months. Would I really be lucky enough to find the one to spend the rest of my life with? The one to be stepfather to my daughter? Online? The odds were a lot higher than those of winning the lottery. I'd sipped my fizzy Evian and then wished I'd ordered still water in case the bubbles made me burp. Would we have chemistry? We'd got along fine on the phone. He looked okay in his photo. Anyway, I wasn't one of those shallow types who judged people solely on their looks. I'd spent most of my life fretting about my own appearance, so I was in no position. Inner beauty, that was my goal. What if he thought I was a moose? I'm not a moose, I told myself crossly. In fact, there was a man staring at me across the restaurant. It couldn't be Gerald, because he was with an old lady, but he definitely kept shooting glances at me, and he wasn't at all bad looking. Not gorgeous, but not hideous. Would you like to order some nuts or olives while you wait? A waitress loomed up next to me with an electronic order pad, making me jump. Sorry, I should have asked you that when you ordered your water, but I forgot. I'm new, you see. That's fine, don't worry, I said, smiling at her. Olives would be great, thanks. The waitress, who was tiny and pretty and slightly breathless, turned too fast and banged right into someone. Her order pad went flying, skidding underneath my chair. I bent down to pick it up, and when I emerged, the blood having rushed to my head, a very, very short man was standing there rubbing his nose. I think the waitress's head had collided with it, since she was rubbing her forehead too. Either that or she had headbutted him, with uncanny prescience as to the emotional injury he was about to inflict on me. I just handed her the pad and opened my mouth to ask if she was okay, when I was interrupted. Can't you bloody watch where you're going? You could have broken my nose. The poor waitress mumbled an apology and staggered off, close to tears. The restaurant was almost full, and all the other diners turned and stared, aghast. I can't stand people who are rude to waiting staff. I was about to give him my dirtiest of dirty looks, when I realised with considerable alarm that this obnoxious little troll was my date. Oh, I said. Gerald? Even under the circumstances, I did try to keep the disappointment out of my voice. I really did. Joe, well, that's a good start, isn't it? He said in a brittle voice, smiling uncertainly to reveal, dear God, sticky-out teeth the colour of rancid custard. His skin, so glowing and tanned in the photograph, was the pallid grey more commonly associated with coma patients. His shoulders sloped dejectedly, and, like I said, he was extremely vertically challenged. About 5'4", I'd guess. With a red nose, although he couldn't exactly have helped that.